Indiana Jones has become a great icon of theater, being a reference in several works, both films and games. His image was not only on the movie screens. For a long time, there were several games based on his adventures. Let's see how his journey unfolded during that time. Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1982, was the first film in history to be adapted into a video game, released for the Atari 2600, a year after the release of the film of the same name. In the movie, Indiana Jones, an archaeology professor and fearless adventurer, is hired by the government to find the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred object built in the time of Moses, as instructed by God, where the tablets of stone, Aaron's staff, and a jar of manna are stored. To do this, he must use the medallion in the map room that will show the location of the Well of Souls where the Lost Ark is. But the game is different from its inspiration. It starts inside the Well of Souls, and you see the Ark disappearing. After that, your mission begins. To progress in the game, the player must find a grenade to open a passage on the first map. After that, you need to find an artifact to help search the map room. In the map room, the medallion indicates the location of the Well of Souls on a mesa in the Valley of Poison. Then, find a parachute to reach the top and a shovel to excavate the Ark. Along the way, avoid the enemies. When you reach the part where the Ark is buried, just use the shovel and then the game ends. The gameplay was simple. The player needed to use both controllers to play. Each controller had a joystick and a single button. With controller 2, you moved the character, and the button used the selected item. With controller 1, you selected the item to use, and the button dropped it. When it was released, it was during the golden age of video games in the early 80s, when consoles like the Atari 2600 were becoming household staples. The creativity and technology of that era paved the way for many beloved game franchises we enjoy today. The Atari 2600 was a groundbreaking console, but its graphics were very basic compared to today's standards. It used simple shapes like squares, rectangles, and lines to show characters and objects. The colors were limited, and the animations were basic, often just quick and repetitive movements. Game designers had to be very creative to tell a story with these simple graphics, but it was still fascinating for its time. The game is still confusing by today's standards, but back when it was released, players managed to figure it out. Tips and tricks were shared in magazines and among friends, helping everyone get through it. The game received mixed reviews. It was one of the first adventure games for consoles with puzzle elements and the ability to carry multiple items. Additionally, it is listed in the Guinness World Records for being the first video game based on a movie. However, many players found it difficult and frustrating. The complexity and learning curve were frequently mentioned in the reviews. Still, the game is recognized for its historical importance in the evolution of video games and is considered a cult classic by some. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and see you next time.